thank you very much for accepting the invitation. It was great. Thank you very much for sending your wonderful colleague here with us. And so I have already introduced you to the students. So I think we can actually start. So I've already told this morning who you are and what you do and where you are now, and that you actually have been working also in Kunshan and Suzhou.
Yeah.
Maybe what I didn't say is that Fred received his Master of Landscape Architecture from the University of Pennsylvania, which is a great school. And he's been working actually all over the world, right?
Yeah.
So you have project pretty much everywhere. Yes, exactly. So thank you so very much for being with us. If you want, you can start sharing your screen.
Yeah, let me do that.
Can you all see? Thank you.
Can you see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Paula, and everyone there. Although I cannot see you guys, but I wish I could be there. I heard it's a pretty good school and must be very good students. Definitely good professors. So, what I'm gonna share today. I want to go through, I think we have about 40 or 50 minutes, I'm not sure, but I would like to quickly walk you through some of the projects that we did in Kunshan. So before that, I think I will probably quickly touch base on who we are. We are a group of landscape architects. Well, some of us has architecture background or planning backgrounds, but all of us share a similar vision. So we want to do. I highlighted two keywords here. It's a cohesive strategy. So we like to do the strategy that's combine a lot of things, and we also like to do timeless places, which means we are not interested in doing something that you look fancy for just 10 seconds. We like to do the things that you would appreciate even like years later. So I think that's the thing that we try to do. I think similar to Paula, I think we probably grew up in a very similar generation. I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we were at college and grad school, it's a dramatically shifting of the fields. So I'm not getting into details here, but if you're interested, you can ask Paula or get into your own interest. But there are quite a few things that inspire us and kind of drive us to what we try to do today. The project has been shifted quite dramatically as well. So the projects that you're looking at, you're probably familiar or not familiar with. It's a Park La Villette and Toronto Downsview Park. There was quite a debate over there. What would be a landscape, or what would be the urban design, or what a landscape can contribute to a city. So all that, I think. Fast forward. Just to talk about few things that you will see that we feel most challenge. I think that the value and the perception people see the spaces or the design is probably the most critical thing that we want to be aware of. Say, for instance, if we talk about urbanization in here, I think a lot of people will have a negative thoughts about the urbanization. But if you look at the urbanization in Asia, some of the Asia cities, people are actually feeling pretty good about them. So as well as the farmland, I think if we talk about the farmland over here or the countryside in in the place that we studied and we work, and the countryside in some of the Asia countries, it's probably very different as well. So I think change of the value and perception is probably the key thing. So that's something that I'm gonna go through in our project. So before I get into our projects, I want to also share that Suzhou or us as a international practice, it's not very rare. You probably learn all about the international firms and the projects that people did, but Suzhou is actually one of the pioneer city in the entire China, right? So you must learn about the Jinji Lake. You must learn about the the what's that? The Iron Pace museums.
The museum.
Right. So all that is back to the 69s or late uh, 60s. So this is one of me and Shiling's old boss. I think he can recognize him. So I think he's still young. I think he's almost he's not well now, but I think Suzhou it's one of the pioneer city. So our route came harder from there. So I want to mention a little bit about Yidao. So we started work with Kunshan or work on projects in Kunshan since 2007. Both Shili and I work on some of the projects there. And then we were both in New York at that time. And then fast forward, I'm gonna quickly walk you through from 2007 to 2014. We started our first project as plot. I think that's a Forest Park West entry. And then 2007, I'm gonna talk briefly about this too. It's about the West, the Kunshan West master plan and Miaojing River as well. So and then so that's 2000, and then now we are at 2023. Time is flies, but I think so. So pretty quickly, you probably know where Kunshan is. So that's somewhere between you and Shanghai. Pretty convenient, I think. All right. So the first project I'm going to mention or quickly go through, it's a Forest Park West entry. It's really about creating a landscape infrastructure for a neighborhood. So you can probably, I'm not gonna go back, but I can elaborate more if you're interested. So at that time, Kunshan City has developed from the central old town to the east is more about factories. So a lot of the industries are at the east and west. That was more about creating a livable city. So and while we are bringing the infrastructure toward west, the city started to encounter some challenges. Say, for instance, they built a huge forest park over here. They didn't foresee that there will be a future people are coming out from the other areas. So you see this at this corner of the forest park, they are building the residential areas, apartments, but there's an abundance of public space or open space here that couldn't be accessed. So very quick, so we just started plot, and then so this old friend that invited us to give them a quick sketch. So when we went there, you see this is just water and full of the planting. There's really not much. But the ecological value, we are not sure. It's probably limited as well. So I think the first thing that we try to do is we we want to bring the open space back to the neighborhood. So at this intersection, we create the entry. We provide the parking lot. There's another entry over here that you will see in the later projects. So the idea is to bring the people in and create a loop, because we didn't know what's going to happen in the next years. So if the project stopped, I think at least we have a loop and the two entries to serve the west side of the neighborhood. The idea, well, I can probably talk very, very quickly about all these programs later. But the first thing is that we knew that the ecology has to come first. So working with the engineers, the goal is to collect, because a lot of buildings are being constructed around this area. So one of the critical things that we believe is that this landscape has to be more than something pretty. So it has to be something functional. So ecologically, we try to collect all the water around this canal and then bring them through. So all the darker green area, or this kind of slightly darker or this medium green area are the treatment wetlands. That means all the stormwater got collected, and then when they get into this large pound, it's gotta be really clean. So you see, this is how that get constructed. So the result was pretty successful. So it becomes something pretty large, and there's low maintenance. So something about this nature is quite magical. As long as you do the grading right, you do the hydrological strategy right, it actually grows pretty well. And so all the seasonal landscapes are bringing a lot of interest to the neighborhoods here. I didn't bring the snow picture here, but even the snow days is actually quite nice. So second thing that we felt that we need to do is the critical thing is to bring the connection. So this is a picture I think done in probably before the pandemic, and then the lower one was the one that I took a few weeks ago that I was called to look at the site again. So since the morning, throughout the entire day, I think the neighborhoods of people coming in to exercise. So this entry become really the asset for this neighborhood. So we didn't try to do things fancy, because we felt that first, this place is around the residential area. It's at the corner of the forest park. We don't feel that every landscape project should be something you want to feel exciting. No, I think that's not something that we want to do. We rather create something quiet and poetic. So this is something that you can visit by yourself, and you will feel pleasant. And you can go there and then drink a cup of coffee, and then we are not architects, but we place this imagine could be good coffee shops later on. I'm not sure how much money they make, but I think they provide a pretty good place to rest. I think that's probably what we probably care the most. And then it is also a place that you can go with your friends, something as a small group, with your baby or with your family. And at night, I think things change also very quickly. So Xiaoqing and Huai, if you guys go there, I think you have to go during the evening time. So all the neighborhoods after the dinner, they just pour into the park. They do the exercise, and kids are do the biking, and so it's really a lovely place for the neighborhood. So that's our first project, but there are still things here and there that we are not very happy about. The budget was limited, but very quickly, I think 3 years later, this client called us in again. I was doing another lecture in Taipei, and then this client called me and said, we like you to take a look at this site. So I went over there. So this client showed us this district plan. Basically, the idea was that I think we already started construction at Forest Park West Entry. That's over here, and then things are growing very, very quickly because this is not in University of Duke, it's Duke University. Sorry, the typo. So the Duke University is about finished the phase 1, and then we are already working with them. Oh, you probably went to EOLI, or that's also our project. So that's another story. But they want us also to work on a retail project for them. So that's around here, around the Central Lake. So they were working with some other consultants doing here and there, but they felt that can you give us a like a bigger vision? I think we want to take a look at this area from landscape point of view. So we quickly put together this master plan. So the idea is that the forest park is already there, and then by the time we'll really start to do the concept design for the Melching River. So what if we started to connect, and then we extend all this open space north, and then ideally, if we can create a loop, that would be really ideal. Say, for instance, at the east side of the area is more about residential. At the west side of this area is more about institutions and schools. So if we have this loop finished, that means the university kids and the high school kid and all these offices or the future offices here can ride their bike. They don't have to drive. They can actually jog for a loop and then go to the Forest Park or the West Entry or the retail area that we are creating. This is still under construction. I'll show you some progress. So, but we recognize some challenges, and then things are not very easy to do in China, particularly. The main reason is that if I have to be faster, you can let me know. But the main challenge in China is that all the blocks are super blocks, and the residential areas has walls. So what you have left out is this almost a kilometer long of a huge wall with streets and nothing else. So if you come to our high school or college in some other areas, I think college kids needs bubble tea. I'm not sure you have bubble teas around your school, but we do have a lot of bubble. You do. That's great.
We do have bubble tea.
Yeah. So they need bubble tea. They need somewhere to hang out. They want to be always at school. So this gave us quite a big challenge. So the biggest thing that we try to do, there's something that we regret here, but I can share privately later. So the key thing here is you see a lot of these dots, these nodes. So Shidi and I were like studying all the entries because we felt that first, I think if you have to drive to do the grocery and then buy the flour back home, that's already like 2 kilometers long. That's too long. And then for the kids that living in the dormitory here, if they want to grab some snack, that's also need something, right? So so the idea is to create this micro amenity nodes along these trails, so that you can go out and then you can get something, and then um, and then people are happy, and then the public space can be very vibrant. So that was the idea. We try to do this in a very comprehensive way. That's something I'm not sure I would do it again. But so we proposed something like this. So we proposed, so we imagine that we are architects, but although the people with architecture background help us a lot, we put together the notes for the shops and small coffee shop, from small to large. And then we try to say that some of this happened, some of this did not. But we felt that what if all the canal over here becomes a green infrastructure, and then we can treat all the stormwater all together while we do this project. And then we felt that this district needs something, needs an identity. So so we designed these logos and these patterns that can go on the paving, and then the banner didn't happen, but some of the signage did happen. So we felt that this could probably bring the identity to this area. So when you come over here, it's no longer just green, but something that you would remember. So and then just very quickly. So we proposed like super long project to the mayor, to the city, and then they were a little bit overwhelmed. They didn't know where to start. They felt you are not really helping me. That you are doing the things that's too much. So we felt, okay, maybe we start with few things. So these things is actually happening now. So if you go there now, I think you will see, especially the phase one. So we say, okay, we propose a lot of things, so forget it. But why don't we focus on the central area here? If we could have the Melgin River happen, if we could have the Fuse Street done, then we can connect the biggest university here, and then the Central Lake, and things will be well. And then so yeah, so this is a picture I took 3 weeks ago, and then Xiaoqing, if you guys go there now, you will see this. So Miaoji River is done. I think I'm gonna share that very quickly later. And then part of the road, I think this is Ling Road. I think this is also done. I think some of the signage are pretty effective. They didn't like it at first. They felt maybe too strong. Now they actually like it. The reason is I think we have more things going on. So if you go there in the early morning, a lot of people actually exercise, jogging. This is the picture I took at 3 a.m. No, not 3 a.m., 7 a.m. Sorry, too late over here. So some of the kiosks didn't happen 3 years ago or 5 years ago when we proposed it. But it actually happened when we did the Miaojin River. So the signage actually worked out, and then they started to open coffee shops at the intersections. So I thought, okay, so this is starting to work out. So we need to go back more often to check. So while we are working on this Kunshan West master plan, one thing that's also happening at the same time, it's about this Miaojin River. We call that ecological corridor. They call that central water corridor. This was all our projects was not awarded at the beginning. We all went through a sort of a competition stage. We have no relationship to the city. We have we are who we are. We are a smaller firm compared with international giants, but this Miaojin River, we knew that we are competing with some big firms and pretty firms. But I'm not gonna share the project from them, but you probably want to know the story. One idea is to create this Miaojin River as just very nature place, and probably with a bridge goes through. That's it. The other competition entry, they proposed a very artistic approach. So they felt this is something about the artwork. The things look really cool and very special. But our approach is trying to say that has to be to serve a lot of different aspects. It's not purely about community. It's not purely about transportation. It's not purely about ecology. It is about an open space. So this is a master plan that we did at the end, and I think it's being constructed. Some of the final parts are being constructed right now, but just very briefly, this entire Miaojun River, I would say the west section, because there will be the east section going on later on, are mainly about two areas. The area above the forest park is more about residentials, and at the west, it's more about institutions, so schools or R&D campuses, education are at the west. So we knew that it's gonna be different. I think for the entire 3.5 kilometer, it will look different. It's also connecting the Kuele Lake. We don't have time to go through Kuele Lake. I can mention something quickly about the Kuele Lake at the end of the presentation. And Miaojun River was an aqueduct to connect the Kuele Lake as a water reservoir to the city. So the entire the water was protected. All the planting that you see over here was not for ecological reason. They were for protection reasons. So no one can get in because the drinking water has to be transported from Kuele Lake to the central city. They also built two more rivers to protect Miaojun River, one that north, one that south. So the water can be collected before they hit the Miaojun River. So the central water will be always clean. So when we came in, the things are looking pretty green at the top, but when we get in, it's actually not very healthy. Things are very dense. They did create this kind of open lawn area because when we get in, they already embedded a pipe underneath. So the water can be transported through pipes, not a river, to the central city. So that opened up the opportunity for us to do a lot of things here. So when we came in, so this picture shows the image at the west side of the section. So you see all this area, it's the offices, the government, the R&D campuses. So all those are at the east section over here. And you will see this is the Miaojun River at the center, the two rivers at both sides. Okay, so that's kind of the Miaojun River, how that gets set up. And then if you move a little bit toward east, you see all these are the residential buildings. That's a forest park. That's the forest park west entry you just saw, right? So all this area is about serving the neighborhood again. So it's a little bit different from between the east side and then the west side. So the first thing is to connect them is already quite a challenge. So during the master planning stage, we proposed quite a few strategies. We said at the bridge, we can probably connect the bridge down to the river. And then if there's a river, so we definitely have to have some bridges. We also want to create things for people to experience the nature. So things will have the boardwalk kind of spelled off from the main circulation. And then some of the trails will go through the wetlands, some of the trails will go through forest. And then if we meet a bridge, then why don't we just get a tunnel and then do the underpass? The client was quite nervous. It's not very easy to build, and then but then I think things was done pretty successfully. There were quite some challenges, but we work out in the technical way. For instance, we were trying to renovate this old bridge in the back here, but during the construction there was no way. I think it's no one want to sign off the bridge structurally. So then the new bridge was added on, but that becomes a twin bridge. I think we like this area quite a lot. It's kind of the symbol for the new and old, right? So, and then the underpass was also pretty successful. I think we work out the grading, and some of the new road built kind of slightly elevated, so that kind of make us easier to go through as well. And then we didn't try to create this kind of boardwalk or kind of secondary path to get into the lawn. I'm not gonna show you the play area because we are trying to convince them to put the equipment in. There are some concerns. Yeah, we can talk about this later, or Xiaoqing can share, or Shilin can share privately. But so some of these are built. I think the nice thing is that we keep a lot of the existing trees, so that the new trees added on, and then it looks very like a real forest. So talking about the forest, so we knew that the dense forests are not gonna work, right? Because when we get in, there's no under canopy. Things are just dirt. And then so the idea is, why don't we take out few trees, and we start to plant some smaller trees and introduce some under canopy plantings, so that there will be real habitats can happen. So actually it worked out. So with the path goes through, and then we cleaned out some of the areas the light actually can get in. So under canopy actually worked out. We actually planned just limited, but it actually expanded quite successfully in just a few months. So we were pretty happy to see this. Along the water area, we knew that it was for creating to transport the water. So we knew that the water, the wetland ecology has to be created as well. So we take some of the area. We try to not touch the Meljin River, the central area. Rather, we started to create a lot of the wetlands, the prairie. You see, these are new trees that were planted. All these are the old trees. So these are the new trees. So we try to create a real forest, kind of gradients through the forest, riparian area, wetlands, with the prairie in the middle. And then something quite surprised was that we didn't thought we created this purely for ecology, and probably some education notes. We put a signage in, but surprisingly it was so popular in all seasons. People went there to take pictures, and then in the WeChat it's kind of becomes a hit. We actually did that. I'm not sure I understand so far. Maybe we will know the reason at some point. Maybe people start to appreciate the nature. That's something that I felt probably that's happening. So at the wetland area, so we start to see birds, and then with birds, there will be fish. So we understood that the ecology has been recovered here. So from this picture that we like, we keep some of the trees, we added the new trees, the path that we added on, the wetland. So things between the existing and new kind of mix and blend together. I think that's something we are pretty happy about. And then, yeah, I think people just came in to take pictures. I felt like, okay, cool. I didn't realize it could be so popular, but that's not something that we tried to do to start with. Some program areas started to be been utilized. Like we try to create this amphitheater. We picked the water that has the largest surface. Then we felt that one day, um, especially when this land got developed, the offices, and I think this, well, then people can have a place to have um, a concert, perhaps, in the nature. And then some of the notes that we learned from the Forest Park West Entry, we started to do that. I think this is the area that between the residential and the institutions. So we felt that maybe we create something that can be enjoyed at both parties. So we try to do this as an environmental education center. So the idea was there's a classroom, and then there's amphitheater, there's the rain gardens, and maybe a stage. So there will be the students and teachers can come over here to study the water. And the client probably felt it's too difficult to operate, so they turned that into a coffee shop. I think people would like coffee shop too. So so that's that. And then at the very east, I think you will see this is a little more quiet area for this residential neighborhood. The idea is to have some place that you can look at the wetlands, some area that you can actually sit more quietly, and then the biking and jogging are in the middle. There are some areas that we try to do a dog park, but it didn't happen. I think a dog park culture is not yet there in China, but probably one day. I think because for us to go to a park, you either go to a jog or ride a bike, or you bring your kids or you bring your dog. I think without a dog park, it could be something missing, but I think we will see. Maybe it will happen in the next few years. So people start to enjoy this. So you start to see the neighborhood start to ride a bike, and the family are enjoying this. Yeah, it's becoming quite popular. So this is something that I know that time is almost up. So um, so we started with the number 6. I think that's the Forest Park West Entry, and then we gradually started to work on this area. I didn't have a chance to go through the Kuala Lake yet, but you will see the Kuala Lake. I'll show you just a peek. And then before we realized in this past 15 years, Shilin must be so proud that we are working at an area that's quite extensive. It's actually, if you compare with the area that we are studying and working on and trying to bring the change to the people here, it's actually almost the entire San Francisco downtown. So it's actually quite dramatic. So so that's about the past 15 years. And then, so I mentioned briefly about they called me back in again because after the pandemic, I haven't been there for 3 years. So that's for this. I think they said, again, this is about competition. We don't have relationship. So so they said, wow, I think the Melching River has done, the Kunshan West is almost there. Maybe we start to look at this area, because this area, it's the Kuala Lake, and then the entire the 5 lake, what they call 5 lake district. So just just to give you a peek, I think I'm gonna stop here. So that's the reason that Xiaoqing is there. I think so. That's the Miaojing River that you saw. That's the Forest Park West Entry, and that's the Central Lake, right? And then the idea is probably we can create something really about that we call park or the park city or something about mixing the park and the water with the city over here. I think this is where you go to eat a crab right now, but we are trying to change that. So I'm gonna stop here.